Danielle.
And I'm Megan Lee. And this is Romance on the Rocks, where two bookish biddies imbibe and talk about the romance novels that they have been reading for the last year.
Yes! It's officially our 1-year anniversary.
Woo!
Look
at us. I know. I'm proud of us. That's pretty impressive.
I'm very proud of us. So we thought we would celebrate our 1-year anniversary by talking to some bookstore owners from the Milwaukee area.
Yes. And we're specifically doing the Milwaukee area because, first off, I grew up in the Waukesha area. Nicole and I both lived in Milwaukee for quite a while. And actually, we are going to be spending some time getting to rub elbows with some romance novel writers and actually visit these two stores coming up very shortly. So we're excited to delve in and talk to these bookstore owners, prior to us actually getting to visit their stores.
Yeah.
They are really cool stores that just opened up recently.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this movement of bookstores that are just devoted to romance.
Absolutely. They've talked about the fact that with, COVID happening in the last few years, we've lost a lot of the third spaces, places that people meet. Like folks don't really go out to bars the way they used to. They don't really go to restaurants the way they used to. And we're not as good at socializing as we used to be. And so having these kinds of places start to emerge and give us more of these third spaces where we can hang out and talk to people who have, similar interests or maybe not similar interests, but something that they can spark something in us that we didn't think that we were ever interested in before. I think this is very, very cool.
Agreed. Megan, what's been your most favorite moment in the past year during the podcast before we dive into these lovely bookstores?
I don't know that I have a specific favorite moment, but I will say that we have had plenty of times when we laughed until we cried.
Yes.
Because of something ridiculous in the books. It comes to mind with your book, The Princess by Jude Devereaux, the Lanconian raisins. I don't think I'll ever be able to let go of Lanconian raisins. And, for whatever reason, me just being like, raisins for allies. That just about killed me. And that was pretty early on.
Yeah, that was one of our very first episodes in season 1.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I would say I've got that. The fact that I discovered that I actually enjoy Malort as a mixer. There's that. That was a newfound discovery.
You do you.
Well, and that was mixed with the worst novel I have read for the whole podcast, which was Laura, by Bertrice Small. And I feel like that episode, without the Malort, probably would have been pretty terrible. The fact that Malort was not the worst part was pretty impressive. And how about you? What are your favorite moments?
My favorite moments. Honestly, what I've really enjoyed is when we've actually had those rare opportunities to be together and either read our books together and talk out loud about what we're reading. Or when we've been able to record the podcast together, because we do so much other fun stuff around that, like book hunting and all the adventures. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon, even though by the time this episode airs, I will have already seen you. But
yes, yeah.
As my bestie, I really enjoy your company, and that's been the funnest part of the podcast.
I agree. We get to hang out more than we had before. Because we do have such a distance between us. It's almost like forced proximity. Oh my gosh.
I love the analogy and the book.
I don't know that we're a grumpy sunshine or anything like that, though.
I think we take turns being grumpy sunshine.
There we go. What do you got going on for a beverage tonight?
I wanted to do something celebratory for our 1-year anniversary. But you know what I got, Megan?
What do you got?
Some iced tea with vodka and lemon slices.
Oh. How very Southern of you.
It is very Southern of me. Are you drinking a beverage this evening?
Yeah. However, I did not have a whole lot of time prior to us pushing record. I was in Green Bay sorting through books because that is my life and I love it. But best I could do was throw on a clean shirt and feed the dog and then grab what was my leftover beverage from yesterday that was still in the fridge. So this is half a glass of whatever I was drinking with dinner last night that I did not finish, which I think is vodka, bubbly water, and a little bit of simple syrup.
I would say that's a classic Meghan move because you like to do your own little mixer concoctions out of your Mama Sippin' Cup, which for those listeners who are not familiar with Mama Sippin' Cup, tell us what Mama Sippin' Cup is.
Well, first off, we got to get it right. It's Mama's drinking cup.
Oh, yeah, drinking cup. Sorry.
Drinking. Yeah, Mama's drinking cup, which is basically any sort of enormous glass with a handle. I prefer like the mason jars with a handle, and it's enormous. It is bigger than anybody needs for any sort of beverage. So it's usually 2 servings. So I would say where I'm at right now with this, that's about 1 drink in this drinking cup. So yeah, I can't waste things. So like last night I was drinking this, wasn't feeling it, threw it in the fridge.
It's not what not.
Exactly.
I think I have on occasion used my little silicone reusable covers to like cover hard cider cans and beer cans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do not waste.
We really don't. So joining us now is Natasha from The Well-Read Damsel. Natasha, are you drinking a cocktail this evening?
I did. I made one just for this. I don't normally like to spend so crazy with the bookstore. I have not been drinking a ton, but I was like, you know what? This is going to be the time. I'm going to do it.
Yay.
I made myself a little gin and tonic.
Oh, I love that.
Favorite.
Mine too.
Yeah. My kind of girl.
What brought you to opening your bookstore? We'll just dive right in.
Yeah, I love it. So I started the Well-Read Damsel as a pop-up bookstore last year in Milwaukee. I've lived here for a long time. I kind of only read romance, and I just kept thinking, like, I wish somebody would open a romance-only bookstore here. We have a ton of great indie bookstores, but because they're selling everything, like, their romance sections are limited. And I wanted something outside of like Barnes and Noble to go look for books. And I just kept waiting and waiting, and it didn't happen. So I thought, well, I guess I'll be the one to do it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That kind of answers my next question of why you chose to focus your store on romance novels.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong reader. The idea of having a bookstore, like, who doesn't dream of that when all you do is read? But I always joke that I can't give you a recommendation on like a book about World War II, but I can recommend you a book about cowboys. That's just, like, for me, it was like, do what you know. And I know romance, but I don't know anything else. And that's okay. So just kind of stick with that.
How did you come up with the name for your shop?
I wish there was like a cool story. It was a lot of me bothering my friends endlessly for a few weeks while I was toying with like what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be like unique. I think there's like a lot of bookstores that have very, very similar names. I wanted it to feel me because like the store is like everything you see in the store is literally just like me exploded into 1,500 square feet. I wanted it to feel romance. Like, so well read, I kept getting drawn to because it was a fun play on words. I'm a redhead. You know, the color red is like fun for being a romance bookstore. And then the word damsel, I just kept getting drawn to it. But like, I think my friends and I were like, well, everyone's going to think of like a damsel in distress, which I think is kind of what most people think. But by definition, a damsel is literally just a single woman. And I was like, you know what? Let's take it. Let's flip the script. Like, we're not damsels in distress. But if you want to read a book about a damsel in distress, that's cool too. And so just kind of take that word back and empower it a little bit more. And the two just kind of fit well together.
I love that. Very cool.
Thanks.
And there's that newer movie, Damsel.
Yes. Yeah. I actually haven't seen it, but
it is very empowering for women.
Okay,
I love it.
I like
it. What was the process like in starting your bookstore, Natasha?
Yeah, I wish I could say it was like super exciting, but it was just many months of planning and figuring it out. I mean, there are courses you can take on how to open a bookstore, but they're expensive. And, you know, I was a girl on a budget. I opened the Well-Read Damsel like all on my own. And so it was a lot of just going down the rabbit hole of YouTube, of social media, reaching out to other local booksellers and booksellers internationally to figure out like, how do you even start this? And then, I started as a pop-up in November of last year. And the pop-up was my way of, the bookstore was always the goal, but the pop-up was a way of doing it like much more like accessibly, I could start that on my own. I could see if I even liked doing it, I could grow, see if Milwaukee even wanted me to be there and do so with a much smaller financial footprint needed. And so that's kind of how the pop-up began, and it just kind of blew up pretty quickly from there.
Very cool. What excites you about owning your own bookstore?
I think originally for me it was the books. I mean, like to spend all day like in a bookstore just sounded so dreamy. But I think from like day one of the pop-up, it's quickly became like just like being able to spend more time with like the readers here in Milwaukee. I think it's been a very unique opportunity to kind of help foster a community of people who are looking for bookish events, who are looking for that connection and love books. And so, yeah, my favorite part of the bookstore really has been all of the people who have supported me from day one. I look around at our events and I see people talking, and it looks like they've been friends for years and they met at one of our events, a few months ago. So just really cool.
That is very cool. I love that.
I had mentioned to Nicole actually before you popped on here how, we've lost a lot of those third spaces where people can get together and find those like interests and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a bookstore like yours is helping to fill that gap. And you've just basically confirmed exactly that.
And I think here, especially in Milwaukee, we have so many breweries here. It's a big drinking city and state. A lot of people, especially like my age millennials, looking for activities that don't just involve sitting in a bar and drinking. And you know what? There's a time and place for that. Some people still want to go do that. But I think there's a lot of us who were looking for something else to do too. And I think books are such an easy way to connect with people because it's literally like, what are you reading right now? And boom, the conversation just like naturally takes off from there. So I think the bookstore kind of, in a way, like helps sponsor that just because books are fun to talk to and easy to talk about. So if you're anxious about coming to an event alone, it's one question and you can kind of go from there.
Absolutely. Natasha, what would you say your favorite romance genres are?
It's a tough one for me because I'm a big mood reader. So I really bop around depending on what mood I'm in. Summer right now, it's a lot of contemporary romance. Also, not gonna lie, we opened the storefront in June. Things have been crazy, so like my brain doesn't have the capacity to take on like a romantic world right now. So it's a lot of just like light, fluffy, and fun because I can't handle anything else. But I do think I kind of lean more towards just like contemporary anyways and sprinkle a little bit of everything else along the way.
Awesome. And who would you say some of your favorite romance authors are?
That is a tough one for me.
I'm sure.
I don't like picking favorites ever. I feel like my friends will always laugh at me when somebody goes, what book should I read in the store? If they haven't read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, that's the one I'm going to say this is the one for you. I love Lila Sage. I love that series. She has a new series coming out in September that I'm really excited about. And I just think it's cowboys, it's small town, and they're just really like beautifully written. So I love her. And then there are a few local authors here in Milwaukee. Katie Michelle is one of them who I absolutely love. Her newest book just came out last month. And then Morgan Keelish. I always say it wrong, so if I say it wrong again, Morgan, I'm sorry. But she is a fantasy author here in Milwaukee. Her first book, Awakening of the Gods, came out last year, and the second book in the series comes out this month. And for being like a debut indie author, like I think most people that read it are like, how? Like it's so good. The story is just really unique. It's really well written. And we did it for our book club a few months ago, and like across the board, everybody loved it.
Very cool. I know it's early on because you just opened the brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But what future plans do you have in store for the Well-Read Damsel?
That's a good question. I think because we just opened our doors, I am pretty like in the weeds with all that comes with. So in terms of the future, I guess we'll see. We do have a lot of exciting events coming out, and we have events right now that we have not announced going all the way through 2026, which is exciting. So events for me as a pop-up were always some of my favorite things because they're easy ways to connect with readers. And so we're keeping the events going. Like in the store, out of the store. We still do pop-ups. And we have some maybe overnight experiences coming up, things like that. So yeah, I think right now it's just storefront and seeing what that turns into.
I love the idea of the overnight adventures.
Stay tuned. I can't say too much, but
Yeah. Are there any events that you can talk about coming up that you would like listeners to know about?
We have an event with Emily Rath, October 7th. So tickets will be out by the time this happens. It's going to be a Q&A and signing with her. I'm really excited about that. And then continuing on with the hockey genre. Last year, we did an event with the Milwaukee Admirals, a hockey team. And we brought 220 romance readers to the game. And this year in February, we will be bringing authors to the game as well. Readers will have a chance to come see the game and also meet some of their favorite hockey romance authors.
That is really fun. Nicole and I have been trying to plan what we're going to be doing for our upcoming episodes. And I know for sure we've got a hockey episode coming up.
We have a hockey episode, yeah.
So this might be really fun for us to try and figure out if we need to also be attending your hockey event with our hockey books.
So I'm excited.
That's great. I love that.
So those are the two that I can kind of think of right now that I think will be fun.
Where can listeners find your store, or how can they shop with you if they're like me and stuck outside of the Milwaukee area and outside of the Wisconsin state?
Yeah, so we're on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all under the Well-Read Damsel there. And then we do have our website, wellreaddamsel.com. We have an online store. That's kind of the best way. You can shop books and our merchandise. And we ship nationally. And then you can always shop on our affiliate link with bookshop.org, which you'll find on our website. And then if you're an audiobook listener, you can always go and select the Well-Read Damsel on Libro FM, which is an audiobook platform. Similar to Audible, but it supports an indie bookstore instead of a big corporation.
That's something new. I've never heard of that before. So that's
exciting. It's Libro.fm. I should say. I always forget the dot. And yeah, it's the same. It's a monthly subscription. You can also buy extras on top of that. Pricing is pretty similar. But yeah, they give a portion of the proceeds to an indie bookstore of your choice.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool. That's awesome. We have a lot of readers that do that here and around the world. So
I'm totally down for a digital book. I know Meghan prefers the tangible.
I need the paper.
I get it. I won't lie. I probably do about 50-50, especially as things have gotten busier. I don't leave the store often. And so when I'm doing stuff, it is nice to have an audiobook with me. But I get it. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. It is a little bit unique, especially with romance. Some of the spicier ones, it does take a little bit of getting used to what you're listening to.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Meghan, do you have any other questions for Natasha?
Well, so I wanted to ask, maybe what is the thing that has surprised you the most with opening the store?
Yeah.
What have you taken away from this and gone, wow?
I think I knew that myself and my friends wanted a space like this, but I just didn't. And of course, in starting it, I was hopeful that there were other people out there. But from day one of the pop-up, we had several hundred people show up to the bar that I was popping up with, and I had a line. And for me, I was okay, I'm going to be able to check everybody out. I brought a ton of books just because I wasn't sure. It was my first one, but I'll be bringing all of these home. And I had 10 books left at the end of the night. And There was a line for the entire time. And for me, and my friends were downloading the POS software on their phones. My friends' parents were manning bookshelves just to and the bar, they were amazing. It's Ray's Bar in Wauwatosa. They just took a chance. They were this sounds cool. We can give you our back space. And they had to call more staff to come in earlier for the night. So it was so unexpected. I knew that there would be people out there. I just didn't think we'd find them so quickly. And I think just from the first event, it really just blew up from there. And I tried to do a lot of unique events. And I think that just kind of grew our audience pretty quickly too. So then on our grand opening, we had over 800 people come out, which was insane.
Wow.
And it was a 95-degree day with a heat advisory. So much so that I was do we not open today? It was so hot. It still surprises me that we're 2 months into this and the store is packed every day. Yeah, definitely unexpected.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Having support for a small business, first of all, but, a small business that's geared toward women, I think, yay. That's great.
We are queer owned, so I think it's been really amazing to kind of get to be a part of the queer community here in Milwaukee and have a lot of people feel like it's a safe and inclusive space. And so just want to keep that going.
Absolutely. And having a variety of books available where people can come in and know they're going to find something that speaks to them and how they want to connect in the romance world. I love that.
Yeah, that is kind of why I started it and why I keep doing what I do every day. A lot of people are surprised that our stock changes so frequently. And I think it is just because I'm always on the hunt for more love stories to reflect what other people are looking for, whether that be just what they want to read or what they'd like to experience in real life. We always say that we celebrate love in all forms.
My other question I had jotted down here was how many people are involved in your like book clubs? Like if you are. Yeah. Is it monthly? How are you running that if somebody wants to get involved?
Yeah. So right now we just have one book club, and we had that since we were a pop-up. We are in the process of launching several others that will run monthly. We have a book club that runs once a month with another local business called Nourished. We call it the Well Nourished Book Club. That one we kind of bop around to all different types of romance genres. Tickets on that are on Eventbrite. It's free to attend, but it's usually 15 to 20 people at a time. We just limit it because of the space. And all of our future book clubs will also be run through our Eventbrite. So I think like a good way if you want to stay informed on our events is to follow us on Eventbrite. If you just look up our name, we'll be there. And it'll email you every time one of our events goes live, including our book clubs. Again, they're free to attend, but we just have to kind of make sure there's space for everybody. And those will start in September and October.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I think so. Summer's a busy time for me and for Milwaukee. So I think it'll be good to kind of have those then.
I think in Wisconsin, everybody wants to be outside as much as possible during the summer.
Exactly. So we'll have a fantasy book club. We'll keep the Well Nourished book club going because I think a lot of the people that come to that really like it. We have a queer book club, and then we have a book club that we're calling Ye Hockey, which is cowboys and hockey. And the reason being is one of our longtime damsels and customers who comes to our regular book club, she was like, I don't really like to read a book unless it's about cowboys or hockey. And I said, you know what? Do you want to lead a book club? Because I think a lot of people like that. So she's going to be leading one of our book clubs, and I'm excited about that.
That's great. Nicole has said she's having her summer of cowboys.
Yeah, so I'm having my cowboy summer.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel it's like cowboy summer, hockey winter, and you know what? We're going to combine the two because we can.
I love it. Is there anything else that you would like to mention about your bookstore, Natasha, before we sign off for you?
I don't think so, no. Just come check us out if you're ever in Milwaukee.
We'll be there.
I mean, yeah, you guys are going to be there. Yeah.
By the time this episode drops, we will have been there.
Have already been there. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it'll be great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Natasha. We really appreciated having you as a guest. I think what Natasha was just saying actually about how people will be reading something and then they'll just start hitting off a conversation. True.
Books are just a great way to connect in general. And I'm so glad that what I do for a living is book related. For those of you who don't know, I'm an online bookseller, secondhand, whatever I find. I freaking love books.
I love that. Well, next up, we have Carrie from Thirst joining us. Are you drinking a cocktail in the store?
I have wine. And that is something, Thirst always has rosé, for sure. I put a wine fridge in the back. So as we were installing bookshelves, we also installed a wine fridge, like a commercial wine fridge.
I love that.
I feel like with a name like Thirst,
yes,
that double entendre, you absolutely need a wine fridge. That's a good call.
It's true. And that's how kind of Thirst got its name. We were in a wine bar with some friends and we were talking about this project that I had been talking about so much. And then I came up with a lot of really, really, below average names. And no one liked them. No one was liking my names. And Thirst kind of came up drinking wine, and we knew it was the right thing. I think I felt my own pupils dilate, right? And I'm like, that's it. We knew we had landed on it, or I knew I had landed on it. and it was always kind of meant to not only lead into the winking part of what that could be, but someday I could actually have a wine bar, and Thirst could be in a wine bar. That was kind of the goal.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, what brought you to opening your bookstore, Carrie?
I had desired to make a change for a long time. I had thought about a bookstore maybe even as soon as 2007. Like that's when would put down a book and say, I should open a bookstore. And then I'd read another book and I'm like, I should do that. Like it was something that I had always wanted to do since my 20s. I think my friends said, you need to do it or stop talking about it. I had one person give me an ultimatum about it. She's like, I kind of don't want to hear about it anymore unless you start doing something about it. So bless her heart. And so that's it brought me to really starting to, okay, what are the things I would need to do to make that happen, right? You get a brand, or you come up with a name came out of the ether. And Thirst was created, right? And then you get a concept of what you want that brand to look like. And then you have a glass of wine. And then you kind of go from there. And then you start taking over those steps. Like, okay, I should get an LLC, right? Or I should know, I've heard of accounting software, right? I should know something about that. And then you get to just the fun stuff, which is reading books. Yep.
Meghan, do you have comments about Ether?
Oh, yeah. Carrie, you can see us, right?
Yes, I can.
So when you said ether, and I don't know if you saw the excited face I made, my little jazz hands, but I say it all the time. I'm always like, it's just out there in the ether. And Nicole makes fun of me for that because I do say it so frequently. So when you said it, I just felt a little kindred spirit thing there. So I just was very excited.
That was very validating for you, I feel like.
It was.
Yes. You're welcome. I love it. But it's true. It's how it happened.
Absolutely. And then why did you choose, Carrie, to focus your store on romance novels particularly?
Sure. So when you think about opening up a bookstore, it's a really daunting thing, right? You go to some of these larger bookstores, and even I'm thinking independent bookstores, and you go to a generalist bookstore, it's really daunting. I knew the direction towards niche bookstores was absolutely happening. And we're in this moment I grew up in the 90s, right? And we saw like mom and pop stores and generalist hardware stores disappear from Main Street America, right? And so there's this unique moment now where we're seeing that kind of Main Street America get reborn. And I think I'm seeing it with like craft stores, right? You're seeing all kinds of other types of smaller shops kind of coming, and gift shops and kind of coming out of the ether. Sorry, did it one more time. I won't do it again.
No, that's great.
And so niche bookstores were also that. And for me, I felt that I could be successful doing one thing and do it really, really well. Romance has always been a passion of mine. It's always been part of my reading practice. And people who say they read, right? Big readers, people who are readers, I ask them if they're reading romance as well, because I think a well-read person would also read a little romance, right? So anyway, but I was always reading romance along with with all the other things, and along with my nonfiction, I was always squeezing in romance. And so I knew that I wanted to then do a niche romance bookstore.
Very cool. Along those lines, what would you say your favorite romance genres are to read?
So I really like all of the subgenres. Like I have very purposefully and specifically, I read from almost all of them that I have. And then as new ones get made, like I'm a little newer to Omegaverse. And so I devoured that as soon as I learned about it. But I mean, I absolutely read heavy romantasy and paranormal books. I read heavily into historical. I read heavily into contemporary. There isn't anything I prefer over another.
Do you have, I know it's difficult, especially as a bookstore owner, but do you have any favorite authors?
I absolutely have beloved writers, right? Some of it is, I think I'm glad I'm lucky enough that I came across them to read. I know Victoria Aveline is one of my favorites. She's sci-fi, and her Caklania series is for me was top tier. And I really enjoy her world, the universe of Caklania. I really enjoy her world building. And I enjoy, obviously, I love her characters as well. I like Zoe York a lot, too. She's a Canadian writer. She writes wonderful small town, some of them like small town military romances. Kennedy L. Mitchell writes fantastic romantic suspense that I find really fascinating. And then a local woman, Shane Rose, she's from Milwaukee, and she writes very hot billionaire romance. billionaires. And she has so many billionaires around. I just wonder where they keep them all. And they're so plentiful, right? And they're all between the ages of like what? Somewhere between hot 25 and hot 55, and they're all single and they're just looking for a plucky woman, those billionaires. And she does that well, and her tension is great. Her character tension is really fun.
Very cool.
And that's a smattering too. Like that was all the many different subgenres too.
Yeah. What excites you most about owning a bookstore?
So for me, on some level, I've created a physical TBR, right? I come in here and I just go, I need to read everything here. And I kind of laugh that I just created like a personal library just that I have to be in all the time. But on a serious note, it's more than just a physical TBR. I think what I found to be the most amazing thing was this co-creation of a store with my readers that come in, right? When my customers come in and they know more than I do, they nerd out on books, and I thought I read a lot, and turns out I might be an amateur compared to some of my clients. I love that appreciative reader, and those conversations that I have with appreciative readers blows my mind. That's been the coolest part of the creation of this store.
Having that space where women specifically can meet together and share ideas and, bounce things off each other and give recommendations and talk about what's really inspired them, I think is so important. So I'm really, really glad to see these kinds of places popping up.
I agree. And I'm enamored with the customers that come in, and I'm so excited. And I'm so lucky to I have regulars, right? I have people who come every week on the same day and buy the next book in the series, or they're looking for what's new to shelf. And I love that interaction. And I'm really touched by it. It was actually it shouldn't have been surprising, but it was. It was surprising how amazing and how many new people I've met that are going to be in my life for a long time. I'm blown away by how many friends I've met and how many people I now engage with outside of the store, right? Outside of the relationship of selling a book to them. Incredible. I have so many ideas that I'm throwing around. One is I have lots of pop-ups coming up. I kind of didn't expect to be doing pop-ups after I opened, but I'm asked to come to a lot of places, and I'm there for it. I'm really lucky to be engaging with the community as I am. I've been asked to go to a coffee shop for like a mom's event, like calling it's not Mom's Day, but it's like a mom event for moms to come and hang out Friday night. And I'm heading to QWERTY Fest, which is the typewriter was invented, I think, in Milwaukee. Some time ago.
I did not know that.
And so it's called QWERTY Fest. And so there's a festival for it. There's actually a QWERTY ball. And they've asked Thirst to come to that ball in October. And so there's wonderful intersections in the community that I wouldn't have expected to be making. And also in October, it's Banned Book Week, right? And maybe surprisingly or unsurprisingly, how you're going to look at that, romance books are on some banned book lists, right? And so I am doing an event with a local, very local to me, somebody in my immediate neighborhood community, to acknowledge the banned books within romance. And then we are doing a fundraiser to help people within this community get the funds they need to get their GEDs. So it's a literacy fundraiser during Banned Books Week to draw attention to not only banned books, but literacy in the immediate neighborhood that I live in.
So will that be advertised on your website? Where else can people find those kinds of
Instagram
events?
is really the strongest place for me and advertising. It'll be on my calendars on Instagram. So, but I also have 2 world premieres in October for authors' new books, and also 2 pop-ups at places I've been to already, 2 bars I've been to already that want me to come back. And we're announcing a romantasy ball that's going to be done next year at one of these pop-ups.
That is fantastic.
Yes. And so I've been asked to come support, vend, and be at this romantasy ball that is happening in Milwaukee next year.
So people should follow you on Instagram.
At Thirst Books.
I love it. And this particular episode for our podcast will be premiering the very end of the month of September. So that seems very timely for all of your October events. So
Yeah, for sure.
anybody listening to this, go check out Thirst on Instagram. And then just to kind of do some more questions, where is the shop located and how can people shop with you, especially if they're not necessarily in Milwaukee? Where
Correct.
can they get to you and get some books from you?
So we are shortly going to be e-commerce. We're not quite there yet. So we will have the whole store to include our merch as well as books online. Right now, you can go on to thirstbooks.com and click through our bookshop.org to support indie bookstores. And if people are not familiar with bookshop.org, it is another amazing method to buy books through a web dealer that only deals with indie bookstores. And they have the selection of some of the big boys that are out there. And then also Libro FM, again, you could go through thirstbooks.com and click on Libro FM for the audiobook choices as well. And then you can support independent bookstores that way as well.
Very good. And then do you have any sort of weekly events or book clubs or book readings or anything that people who are local to the area could join?
So we do have book clubs. I do sponsor 3 book clubs right now. They are kind of full at the moment. And we are working on just having more facilitators too for each of these book clubs so that we can maybe have more sessions. I also host private book clubs while I'm open in my Thirst Lounge. And I have a couple of regular book clubs already that have met. And so I love that engagement as well. So I have book clubs. I do every few weeks, I do an after hours. So I do something on Tuesdays, which is release day for books, right? So that people can come after work and get books late in the evening.
Excellent. I do like that, like an after hours social. It was like a great idea. Do you find that you've got quite a few people who show up on those Tuesdays?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm always blown away by how quickly the store will fill up with people wanting to see. And like I said, I have two of those in October are going to be pre-sale exclusives for new books that are coming out for local writers. I'm very, very excited about that.
Great. I think for me, my last question was going to be, you had mentioned very early on that you were looking to make a change. Where are you coming from? Like, where is this originating that you were like, it's time to go?
A corporate job in interior design, working in with interior designers. And I made a change from that. So now here I am, and I did design this space here at Thirst, and I'm very, very glad. That took a lot of gumption, right, for me to make that change. And then to have the confidence in myself and the confidence in romance too, to really create Thirst and then make it, this is my baby, right? This is a beautiful, my little pink palace. And it's a tribute to femininity, but also inclusivity, right? It's for everybody. I do say romance is for everyone, and I have it on a lot of my things because I really want to be as inclusive as possible. In addition to like all of the other subgenres, I do have a very strong LGBTQIA section. And also one of my favorite things is when I see couples come in together and people choosing books together. And I get a lot of, I have some chairs, I call them the husband chairs, but so people, you can take your load off while someone shops. But there's actually delighted to see how many people come in with their partners and shop together. And so it is as much as a temple to women getting together and talking and being a part, and also being proud about what we read and showing what we read and displaying in our living rooms what we read, right? I'm finding that there's even a larger engagement here.
Has anything surprised you in this whole process? What was the most surprising thing that has happened with setting up this store?
I think everyone thought I was just creating an elaborate office with lots of books in it. My friends I don't think they thought it was going to be as big of a deal as it was, and that I would be reading all week. But it's rare where there's not an active customer in the store. So I'm not reading the whole time while we're open because we're actually busy. And I wasn't naive. I knew people would come, but we were surprised maybe, and so surprised and delighted at how many people are coming to Thirst. Romance is really important, and it's really important to a lot of people. So I think people are coming from far and wide. I mean, I get people coming in from out of town all the time. I get people chasing in before they go to a Brewers game because I'm
Oh,
not far from the stadium. And so there's like a quick jaunt. I think some agreements had been made, like I get 15 minutes at Thirst and then we'll do this. Or I get people coming when they leave a daytime game. I get a lot of all of a sudden I'm looking up and I'm like, everyone's in a sports jersey. What do I don't know? What am I not understanding here?
I'm just going to put out there my next blog post is going to be about why baseball is the most romantic sport. I didn't even tell Nicole that yet, but that is my next blog post. So just saying.
Well, I'm shouting distance from the Brewer Stadium. It's a quick jaunt on a highway spur, and so it's been like this past weekend there was a game I think on Sunday, and I was just and I think Milwaukee's sad after the game at the moment.
Yeah.
But there was
we
lot.
lost, but it was Uke Day, so it's okay. We had a big celebration for Euchre, so
I was told that as well. And I'm like, I know that reference actually, right? I actually know what you're saying. So that was pretty cool. So that's actually, I love that. I love my connection to the city. I'm in a vibrant part of Milwaukee and it's growing and it's filled with wonderful small businesses, right? It is, and it's people's like heart and soul. I'm next to a wedding florist. I'm next to a bagel shop. I'm next to a non-corporate coffee shop, right? And it's been dubbed Milwaukee Romance District, and I have that on my Instagram because it's beautiful and beautiful things are happening. And it's really, this quarter of Milwaukee is really revitalized. And I think it's done again this is a small business working really hard and people who live in this area working hard to do something amazing within the neighborhood they live.
fantastic. Anything else you want to leave us with, Carrie?
Oh my gosh. I'm so delighted that you contacted me. I'm so excited to be on this podcast. I love talking about romance and I talk about romance books all the time. And so it is such a pleasure to speak with other people about romance books at all times.
Well, we're going to come see you very shortly. It'll be before this podcast actually, is out in the ether. But by the time this drops, we will have met in person and have gotten to talk about romance novels. And I'm very much
You guys don't know, but I'm fist pumping in the air. I'm excited about that.
Love it. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for being on the episode. And we look forward to seeing you shortly or, before this episode actually airs, but whatever.
I cannot wait to meet you guys.
Yay! I'm so excited to check out your store.
Come to Thirst.
Yes, we plan to. All right. Thanks, Carrie. Meghan, I am so proud and excited that we have completed 1 year on the podcast. And I think what better way to celebrate 1 year of the podcasting than to have interviewed some really awesome bookstore owners. That was really fun.
That was really fun. And I am very excited. Like I mentioned a couple times when we were discussing with them, we will have seen them before this actually airs. So, I'm excited that I get to meet them. But when this airs, we will have met them. So both the ladies from Well Read Damsel and Thirst in the Milwaukee area, just very, very pumped to meet them.
Yeah. Very cool people. Very cool.
We've been doing it a year. We've kept at it.
Yay.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing. And I am very, very proud of you because for almost all of this, you are the technical person.
Oh.
You have gone through, you've learned all the software and the chords and the connections. And I am not that person. I show up when you tell me to show up. So thank you for doing all of the technical stuff.
Well, thank you for supporting me and being patient as I learned all this crap.
I'm proud of you. I really am. Like, this is amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today for Romance on the Rocks. Please like, subscribe, and follow. And if you're a hopelessly romantic fellow bookish biddy like us, think about giving us a review on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you catch your podcasts. Your support really means the world to us, truly. So until next time, stay safe and know that you are loved.